All right, all
Ta-da.
right. Hello, Dave. This is
Mike,
Mike.
Mike, long time no talk to. Oh my gosh, this is yeah. It's. I feel
I
like I should have a mask on or something. I feel like you
know.
should have a mask on. I
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
I know our audience will wish we both had a mask on. I don't know. So um,
All right.
so a lot of things have been happening in the real estate market, and I think we just wanted to get together and talk about maybe some things that we've seen and maybe some tricks and stuff that we can use to figure out um, value. Um, and that seems to be the biggest trick right now. What are you seeing in this market right now?
Um, Things are moving fast, real fast. If they want to sell, we can sell almost anything as long as the price is right. There's so many buyers out there right now. Um, it's just a seller's market 100%. It's the best market it's been for sellers. I thought last year was good, but this year is even better. Yeah, pretty much any and every price range is going within a week.
Yeah. And one of the things I track on a weekly basis because I do work with lenders and do broker price opinions for them, which is basically um, they want to see what has sold around the house recently,
Mhm.
and maybe they're getting ready for possibly foreclosing, or maybe they're just getting ready to refinance. They're getting ready to do something in regards to a property. And sometimes it's the value has gone up. They're looking at possibly, is this a good candidate for refinancing or to
Mhm.
remove the MIP or something? So there's a lot of reasons to have a broker price opinion. But one of the things it forces me to do on a daily basis is to look at what's on the market.
Right.
And since I'd say mid-January, our inventory for single family homes, which is doesn't include condos and PUDs and mobile homes. It's the actual stick properties that has land with it, has been hovering right just above 500 homes available on the market. Or
Hmm.
I'd say for the last 2 months. Last week it spiked up to 600, and I looked today and it's back to 501. So those new homes that came on the market have already sold,
Yeah.
are not considered active, so they're either pending or they've actually have sold. So we're
Mhm.
selling more homes than we're listing. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
that's for sure. They're moving real fast. All the buyers that I've got, I call them up, see how things are going, and they says, they see it for sale in the morning. By the afternoon, it looks like it's pending already.
yeah,
They can't call me fast enough.
yeah,
And with the prices going up on the homes as well, people that they're looking at 250. Uh, there's little inventory. There's not much selection, and people are they're getting frustrated. But again, buyers got to be fast. That's all there is to it. People are still moving out of California, but we got people moving in too. So yeah, the building. I don't know if they should be start building more homes. Not sure how that's going. I do know there's a wood shortage though. I've got a guy that wants to list and he needs his fence replaced, and he's had several people out to give him estimates. They've all
yeah.
told him the same thing. It'll be 3 weeks before they can get enough wood to do his fence. That's pretty crazy right now.
That is way crazy. So that go back to that first time home buyer who
Hmm.
says, "Well, I want to look at a few homes before I decide." It's um, the fear is the very first home you show them because you're a good listener. They told you what they're looking for. You find the house that they're looking for. You go out and you show them, and you know it's a house that fits all their needs. They know it's a house that fits all their needs, and yet they come back and say, I'd like to look at a few more houses. And I I tell them, um, and I do the courtesy. I call the agent or I text the agent. And I say, when are you presenting offers? And they'll say, well, um, I I want to say per our code of ethics, we present our offers as we get them. In practice, though, what's happening is that the seller says, I don't want to look at offers until it could be Friday, and they don't want to look at offers till Tuesday. And I
Hmm.
can't make the seller decide before he's ready to decide, especially
Right.
if I'm working with a buyer. I can put enticements in there, make my offer really, really good to where hopefully he doesn't want to wait or she wants to wait. And yet, how do I tell somebody you may not have time to look at a lot of homes and in this market? Um, so let's educate you as much as we can before you even go out and look. And there's some ways to do that to get them ready before they go look. And yet, it's the biggest investment they've ever made.
Right.
They have the right to look. They have the right to think about it. They have the right to sleep on it overnight. They have the right to talk to other people. They have those rights, and yet the market's not letting them, giving them those rights. The market is saying, ah, too slow. Sorry.
That's true too. Yeah, because with more and more photos and
Exactly.
virtual showings and videos and stuff on homes, when people come up and say that, they don't really know what they want, it's like, well, there's plenty of videos and photos on the internet, but I understand they actually want to start walking through some homes, even though they can pretty much decide if it's houses halfway, what they want or not, just by looking at all the photos and stuff online. But they do. I mean, I understand they want to walk through and see what they see, how it feels, which way it faces. But yeah, the market's just moving so
Yeah.
fast. You just don't have that
So
luxury anymore.
I looked at what we had inventory wise just over a year ago before COVID hit,
Mhm.
and we had just over 2,500 homes to choose from a year
Mhm.
ago.
Right.
And I also looked back, and at that time, I can go back and look to see how many people were actually looking for the homes, and it was about the same number as what we have today. The difference is that instead of 2,500 homes, we have 500 homes. So
Right.
we have the same amount of people buying. We're not selling any more homes. We're just, in fact, if anything, we're selling less homes because of the lack of inventory.
Right.
But we have as many people still looking.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. And hopefully there'll be more coming on towards the end of the year. I know there's those people that just totally gave up and figured they're just going to do a little remodeling and stick in their homes for a few more years. And
so
there's a few that may have lost their jobs or they're just laid off for a few months. So the idea of having to maybe get caught up with payments and sell and have to buy again too, they're just not ready for that. So they're going to be holding off. So hopefully towards the end of the year there'll be more coming up.
yeah,
Uh, as it's just such a phenomenon. I mean, just everything came together a perfect storm when this hit with this pandemic. So it's very unusual, very odd time, and the interest rates are so low. So it's like, why not buy? But just there's nothing there to buy.
yeah. And I look at, well, is now a good time to buy? Should I buy now, or should I? I'm thinking of waiting for prices to come down.
Mhm.
And that could very well be the case. Somebody asked me the other day if we were in a bubble, and I said, well, it almost feels like our bubble has a bubble. And I honestly don't know. What I do know is when I go back all the way back to 1953, where I have records going back that far, and I track the average price each year that prices have gone up, it's just slightly less than 4% is what, and that's the US, on how prices go up each year. And we had a huge spike up bubble in 2000, what, 5 and 6. And then that bubble popped and we had a very large drop through 2011. And yet if I erase that and I just draw that same line anticipating 4%, we're right back where we should be on prices if we hadn't
Mhm.
had the big up and the recession hit us in 2008, 9, 10, 11. Our
Right,
prices are right back exactly where they probably should be. So my anticipation is maybe it slows down, maybe the price rises slow down, but I still anticipate that in 20 years we'll look back and the prices will have increased by 4%. So if
right,
somebody says, is now a good time to buy? Well, if you're looking to make a profit tomorrow, then probably not. But if you're looking to 20 years down the road, then, well, two things will happen. Your home will more than likely have gone up in value by that same 4%. And in 20 years, chances are it'll be paid for.
right.
So uh, is now a good time to buy?
Mhm.
Uh, Now's a good time to buy if your biggest concern are your payments. And I can buy the same house that I'm renting. I can probably buy and my payments would go down in the same house that I'm renting right now, which means the rents have gone up higher than our home prices have.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes, definitely. And I've got a couple people, they keep saying they're going to wait till all the foreclosures hit because we're in such a huge bubble. But I've talked to a few people where the banks have learned the problems and the money they've lost during the last time they had to do so many foreclosures. So there are some banks that are working with the buyers and just moving their payments to the end of the loan just to not have
to
to
work
go
with them.
through a huge amount
Yeah.
of foreclosures like they did before. So I really don't think there's going to be massive amounts. I know some will be coming along, but the government's, stepping in and helping out. So I don't know, it's not going to be nowhere near, what people are expecting. I mean, people are telling me they're going to drop 30, 40%. Yeah. I don't see prices dropping that
No.
much. We got too many people moving around. Too many
Yeah.
people. They're still coming in to California. It's still cheaper in the valley than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Plus, a lot of businesses, since they went through the pandemic and they learned how to do Zooms and conference calls, they're going to stay that way. They're not going to have to bring everybody back into the
No.
offices anymore since they learned they can work from home. So you can live anywhere. So why not move to the valley where it's cheaper and
Yeah. Yeah.
you, you can get out of the Bay Area or out of LA.
Yeah.
So there are people moving here. So there's besides the people wanting to move up and move down in the Central Valley, there's still people moving in. We're
Exactly.
still the cheapest around.
Yeah, we are. We are.
Yeah.
And the telecommuting, and I don't know if and when the light rail ever does take fruition. I mean, Fresno and Bakersfield seem to be the two spots that are uh, in investments. You look for the value buy. You sell the highest product, then you buy the lowest product, and you wait for them to come back together. And
Right.
that's investment 101. We are a value buy now. I've been told I can move to Tennessee and buy, you know, twice the house for half the money that what my house is worth now. So, there's a risk that even Fresno is too high priced based on where else to move to. And we probably have seen some of that.
Yeah.
But Fresno is a place to buy. And if I am in San Francisco and I'm thinking I don't really have to come to work more than once a month, why not lower all of my costs and live in a very nice air conditioned house that's three times the size of what I now own. So,
Right.
and builders are seeing that. 7 out of 10 builders that walked into, I think it was D.R. Horton, the salesperson said that the buyers are coming from the Bay. 7 out of 10 are buying their new homes.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
The so how do you evaluate if somebody says, "Well, what's my house worth?" How are you evaluating it right now? I mean, what are some of the tools that you use?
Um, well, I'm looking a lot as to what's sold. Uh, I kind of come up with the prices what things have just sold recently, but then I've been going back a little bit, maybe last year, looking in the same areas to see what they sold then, to see how much the prices have kind
Has
of
come
come
up.
up in that area.
Yeah.
Um, and then, I present that to them and tell them, well, it's probably going to go up about this much more, so we just raise the price up somewhat. There's still sellers out there wanting to go way too high, and I go, well, it's worthless going 50, 60,000 over, but this is what I'm showing that it came up, in your area, 20,000 in the last 6 months, so we should probably put 20,000 more on the list price.
Hmm.
But it's not just what's selling now; it's what sold last year around the same time to try to figure out an increased price, what they'll
Yeah.
be towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I do add some on for that.
So I met with a couple September last year, I guess, somewhere about then, and did I use we have a tool as realtors. We have a tool called RPR, and I used
Mhm.
that to do my analysis of the market right then, and I came up with 297,
Mhm.
and I did it last night. And when I open up RPR, it says the house is worth 335. That's what it's almost like one of those estimates. It just says this is what we think it's worth. Well, when I dove into it and I picked the houses that are sold, if I went back 4 months, I came up with that price. But if I look at the homes that sold in the last 2 weeks and only the last 2 weeks, the value is now 355. And that's probably where I could get the appraisal right now.
Right.
So, it depends on how far back I look. So I'm shortening that window down to a month, maybe even a couple
Right.
weeks with how
Mhm.
quickly things are moving to kind of get an idea of where I always hope to be able to say, well, this is what it will appraise for. And I'm very honest about that and upfront, saying, well, your house would probably appraise for 365. And yet I feel like 395 might be a place that it'll sell for.
Mhm.
So we listed at 395 and then we get offers at 415. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I
Yeah.
when we get into the appraisal time, the appraiser's going to go, I know what you did and it's probably worth it right now, but I have to give you this number down here. So the
Right.
buyers are having to come in and say, okay, I want the house and I'm willing to guarantee an amount over the appraisal price. If they have any hope of getting their offer accepted right now, they have to
Mhm.
have that extra cash to come in with extra. Um,
Yeah. They've got to really be willing to listen to the real estate agent as to what they're saying and how it's done. If you got people out there just wanting to kick the tires, there's no time for that.
no,
They've got to be pretty much set on their pricing and how much they want to go, the highest they want to go, so they kind of know exactly where they're at.
yeah,
They can't be in 20,000 less. It just doesn't work anymore.
no,
Not right.
not right now. And it's sad for that person who really wants to buy a house right now, or that person who
Mm.
has to buy a house.
Right.
And yet this may be their first home and they may not have a large stack of cash behind that. I know they're getting aced out and I feel bad for them. I don't know um, how to rectify that. I really don't. And again, if I am a seller, I'm not necessarily, I have a heart, I have compassion, but to accept $15,000 less than I could get for it, knowing that I'm
Right.
probably going to have to turn around and pay that for the house I want to buy,
Hmm.
I I don't know that I have a lot of room for. Gosh, this is going to sound bad. I don't know how compassionate I can afford to be.
Right.
If that's right, because it is going to cost me more money when I buy my next house.
Yep.
Uh, so it is a tough market, and I think when you find something, when you see something, and your realtor is working hard to find you a home, that you're ready to act, you're willing to act, and that you're also willing to understand that it may take a few offers out there to get your home accepted.
Yes, definitely. It's going to take a few, and you got to be willing to take that
Yeah,
and take the loss one or two, three times that you're just not going to get the first one you want.
yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. So,
Last
but
little comment. Are you getting calls from agents out of the area with referrals for buyers right now?
yes, I have. Um, and I've gotten a few for sellers as well.
Okay.
Um, the sellers, though, that have gotten referred to me don't really know uh, the market or what's going on. So I just was just with one on Saturday and spent an hour and a half with him on a seller wanting to sell the property. And then he tells me where he's moving to. He doesn't have a job yet. He's not sure when he's going to get a job. He just wants to move. And it's like, okay, well,
Yeah,
I can make you homeless.
I can make you home.
I might be able to pitch a tent for you, but
But then
thanks.
here's your challenges on the other hand. And they need to know
Yeah,
what that's, yeah, they need to know the challenges and they need to talk to a professional like you, Mike, who's going to lay it on the line and tell them, yes, it's easy to sell, not so easy to buy. And you just created more challenges for yourself by not having a job. So
right,
my
right.
my one caveat or my one warning to people who are working with realtors trying to find a home. Every once in a while, you'll see a home that comes up on one of these other sites, and you'll click on it, and you'll go, "Wow, I really like that." But I've been giving these to my agent, and he can't get me a home. So I think I'm just going to click this little blue button that says "Contact the agent," and so you click on that, and somebody who is paying a lot of money each month for your clicking on that button maybe in Florida. They don't know Fresno. They have to look it up on the map. They're not
Okay,
even sure is that Fresno, California or Fresno, Texas. They're not
right.
sure. But yet they have this hot lead. They'll jump on one of many different social sites and say, I have a lead for a buyer's agent in Fresno.
Hmm.
And some person who maybe, I don't know, maybe they're new, maybe they're experienced, but they're paying for leads also. And
Hmm.
they'll say, I can help that person. And now all of a sudden, this person who's been working with an agent who knows their needs is all of a sudden directed to another agent on the promise that this guy can get you into this house.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, the agent who's been working hard for him loses that person out of frustration, out of the hope and promise that somebody else can get me a house. And now that agent is having to start all over. And
Yeah.
I have actually started to decline those referrals from outside agents unless I ask them the question, do you know this person personally? Do you know the lender they're using? And do you know if they're working with another agent? If they say, well, they're working with an agent now, but they're not happy, they're not going
Hmm.
to be happy with me either. I'm and I'd rather have you be unhappy with another person than unhappy with me. I'm probably not going to be able to help you any more than your current agent is. They're working hard is my point. They're working really hard and it's very frustrating. So if you found an
Yeah.
agent and they're getting you into property, stick with them.
Yeah.
That's your
Yeah.
best bet.
I know what you're saying because I did get a call, referral for a buyer, and the agent told me they're hot, they're ready to go, and they're looking in Lemoore. And I go, well, that's great. Lemore's not right here, not really in the Fresno area. And he knew nothing. It was the same thing. Someone had clicked on a button,
Yeah.
and he was trying to find an agent that was going to help him and get some referral money and stuff. And I go, how do you figure Lemoore and Fresno? He goes, well, I looked at the map and they only look like they're about an inch and a half
They are.
apart. So it
Yeah.
can't be that far, could it? It's like, where are you from? And he was in Massachusetts. So it's like when you click on those buttons, you don't know who you're going to get.
Yeah.
And they just randomly call over
Yeah.
here. And, that's quite a ways away. And an inch and a half on a map,
Yeah.
that's not,
Yeah. Yeah.
not always an accurate real distance to our property.
Yeah. So, Mike, going forward, I've talked to several lenders. I've talked to other people in different parts of the business. I've also talked to our friend Melissa.
Uh-huh.
We had her on a few months ago. Her business has actually changed, and she's doing some kind of interesting things. But the market is changing, and it pays to keep in touch. It pays to probably have a good lender who can help us know what interest rates are going to do
Yeah.
instead of telling us after the fact, maybe helping us know ahead of time what they're going to do. And certainly, I think we as professional realtors, we need to keep in touch daily basis. And the moment we start seeing the inventory start spiking up, that we make mention of that. So I'd ask
Right.
people to stay tuned. If you have any questions, then I would suggest call Mike, and we're going to have his information down here, or call Dave Kidder, and his information will be somewhere here also.
Good deal.
And if any questions, leave them in the post or send us emails or
Sounds
text us.
good. Sounds good.
Okay, Mike. Always a
Right.
pleasure. I love your
All
hat.
right. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.
Bye.